Who's watching you? I mean, really watching you. No, I'm not talking about that out of place, unmarked, obvious FBI van down the street or your nibby ass neighbor. What if I told you there are spirits specifically assigned to you for the sole purpose of setting you up for the okie doke? Now, that person could be anybody. It could be your bestie, your neighbor, or even that way too friendly Trader Joe's cashier who remembers your name and your favorite chocolates and always manages to have some sort of discount for you. Yeah, it's a thing. And today, we gonna talk about it. Welcome to your North Node. I'm Athena, your modern day priestess bestie. Come, sit with me for just a minute and let me bend your ear. Now, everybody likes to proliferate about the amazing awesomeness that comes with being a spiritual chosen one, if you will. But what the love and light community and the marketeers don't like speaking about are the perils of being in the light, right? So just as you are here on a mission, others are too. And not all of their missions are aligned with your highest good. Oh, brief segue here. Speaking of which, okay, so look, do y'all remember do you remember those mall cops that used to, stand on those segways? You know, the ones that had like two wheels and you would stand on and go zoom, zoom, zoom. The security guards, they used them for surveillance. I heard they don't make them anymore. No, not the security guards. The segways. They don't make the segways anymore. Anyhoodles, that's not what the Segway sidebar was about. But, oh yeah. So, someone once asked me at a live workshop if everyone here in the marketplace had an assignment. And I responded, no. You know, some humans are just human NPCs. What do you think about that? Do you think everyone here in the marketplace has a spiritual assignment, or are some people just here to just fill out the background, just background noise? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious about your thoughts on this one. So anyway, where was we at? Oh yeah, back to the bright light. Bright light. So whether you're just discovering it or it's already shining brighter than those new high definition blinding ought to be illegal LED electric car light headlights, you know it's there. But the thing is, so do other people. So some of those people who are drawn to your light, they are specifically assigned to dim it. I went to see Wicked last night. And that's what inspired this video. Now, I've seen the original with Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel. Oh my gosh, so good. So good. And I guess this is the point where I have to say, spoiler alert. Come on, really? Do I need to say that? You honestly haven't seen the stage production? You haven't listened to the soundtrack? The way I'm listening to the soundtrack, as I was scripting this video? No, just me? Okay, what are you even doing with yourself? Okay, so let's talk about Madame Horrible. And yes, she's exactly what her name says, just horrible. Now, stay with me now. When Madame Horrible sees Elphaba and how powerful and how raw and her untrained potential, what does Madame Horrible do? What's she do? She manipulates the situation to make that impressionable young witch feel valuable, feel special, and feel wanted. And that is everything that Elphaba was sorely missing in her upbringing because, she's green. But plot Later, it's revealed that Madame Morrible is behind the whole country's division kerfluffle, and Elphaba was merely a pawn in her game that could be used for the greater plan. For Madame Morrible's greater plan, not for Elphaba. Okay? And does any of this sound familiar to you? Because this is exactly how monitoring spirits operate. I want to do like a whole occult breakdown of Wicked at some point because it is cloaked in so many intricate allusions that we could just have a good little chitty chat about it. But for now, let me just, okay. Let me try to focus. Let me just try to focus on just this monitoring spirit part. So, of course, Elphaba, she's hurt, of course, because the very first person, the very first human to fill her mother wound, other than Nanny Bear, I can't remember her name, but she was the bear who was her nanny growing up, that person ended up being a fraud. And Madam, that is a tongue twister. Madame Morrible, she is a prime example of a monitor. Now, she's a little extra with it. Most monitoring spirits aren't typically so involved, but her character does provide us with a really good framework to unpack and understand just how these spiritual spies operate in our lives. And quiet as it's kept, here's what'll make the Love and Light community clutch their crystals. Just as you are assigned a guardian angel, you're also assigned a monitoring spirit. They didn't mention that in their manifestation workshop. Of course not. They love to skip the part about how every light casts a shadow. But what do I always tell you? I always tell you spiritual law runs parallel to natural law, which means there must be balance. Light, shadow, protection, monitoring, roses, thorns. That's just how it works, boo. Now, your monitoring spirit, it could be anyone, and I do mean anyone. Usually, it's your earth family. But it could be, like I said, it could be anyone, and it's not always the same. It's not always the same person. They can change over times, right? They get reassigned, right? And I kind of feel like I've talked about this before, so if I have, well, I'm doing it again. I don't know. I don't know why this is so important, but apparently it just needs to get out to the world. So here we are. How do you know that you've activated your monitoring spirit? Because when you have your spiritual awakening, your monitoring spirit also knows that you have awakened, right? So it's I was watching Good Omens. So spoiler alert, okay? But I was watching Good Omens and I haven't finished it yet, but I think it was season 1 that I was watching, and they were waiting for the Antichrist to turn 11. And when he did, both heaven and hell knew. The demons and the angels, they knew. So that's the same with you. When you have your spiritual awakening, when you wake up and remember who you are, everybody knows. I want you to pay attention to that person in your life who takes just a little bit extra interest in you. You know the one. That's the one. They always seem to like know you through and through. And they always, and no one always evers or nevers, okay? But they always seem to pop up at just the right time. Or is it the wrong time? Especially when tragedy strikes. They're ready to help you before you even know that you need help. Is this like ringing any bells about someone in your life? Now, listen, I am not here to try to turn you into some spiritual conspiracy theorist, right? There are, just as you have people who are assigned to monitor you for to throw you off your course. You also have people who are there to help you along. Listen, I had some coffee. I think I had like way too much coffee, as I have more. But I think I had way too much. And so now all of my words, I'm trying to get them out, and they're going like, and my mouth can only form one word at a time. Good time today, y'all. Okay, so wait, where were we? Oh, hmm, spiritual conspiracy theorist. That is what I am not trying to do, right? Um, because like I said before we went off on like the before we went off on all that, it was, I was saying how just as you have people who are trying to trip you up, you got people who are trying to help you too, right? I don't want you to become paranoid. That's not the point of this. This is about awareness, knowing who's in your energy and why, and that way you can move smarter, not scared. But you do need to know who's in your energy. That's why you shouldn't have just any and every old body pulling tarot cards for you and doing your astrology reports. Sometimes that tarot reader is your monitor. And honestly, like, who knows more about you than your reader? Maybe Google. The challenge with monitoring spirits is as you evolve and ascend, so do they. If you figure out who your monitoring spirit is, it might be best to keep that person close. Because what happens is once you out them, they just go level up. And now you are starting from scratch again, trying to figure out who's stepping on your cape, keeping you grounded when you're trying to fly, which is exactly why Edna doesn't make capes, darling. But wait, there's more. Just pay $19.99 shipping and handling, and you'll get a list of other ways monitoring spirits are keeping an eye on you, like remote energetic surveillance and out of place animals. Think about it. Are you suddenly Cinderella? Come on now, boo. Have you always had an affinity with all the animals and understand them? Is it a regular occurrence for animals to help you out and give you messages that you can effortlessly decipher? Or does that same crow keep appearing at random looking like it knows what's in your notes app? Yeah, that ain't no coinky dinky. Okay, this is why when I teach protection magic, I always say you have to do baneful workings. You have to be okay with baneful workings as well. Love and light is great, but you gotta be okay with pressing the red button. So, how do we combat this? Well, you're gonna roll your eyes, but meditation. Yes, meditation. Hum. I can hear you groaning through the screen now. You know how I know? Because I was doing the same thing. Listen, praying is when you're talking, and meditation is when you are listening. And you gotta listen. And I fought that for a really long time, right? I'm still like not an expert meditator, okay? And it took me years to finally take meditation seriously. Years. So I understand for some of you, this might be something that you really just don't want to hear. But I promise you, from someone who has been there, there's a little antidote that goes something like a guy was walking down the street, walking down the sidewalk, and he fell into a hole. So he's in the hole and he's, screaming for help. Um, and finally somebody walks down the same sidewalk and he's like, help, help, help. And so the guy who's walking down the sidewalk, he hops in the hole with the guy who's already in the hole. And the guy who was the first person to fall in the hole was like, what are you doing? Oh my God, now we're both in this hole. How are we going to get out this hole? Like, why would you do that? I asked for help. What are you doing in this hole here with me? Now, we're both going to starve and we're going to die. I don't know. Maybe he said that, probably. Anyway, point of the story is the guy who hopped into the hole, he says to the guy who accidentally fell into the hole, he says, look here. I done already fell in this hole. So I know exactly how to get out. And here's what we're going to do. And that's what I was trying to tell you. When I put on my teaching robes, it's because, yes, I'm teaching, but I'm teaching because I've already fell in the hole and I've gotten out, right? Or I was able to see a way where it could make things better. It's not coming from a place of, I know so much. Like, ew, that's gross. Anyway. Oh, yeah. Any hoodles. Back to meditation. So yeah, like I was saying, it took me years to finally take meditation seriously. So, I understand for some of you how difficult that is, but I promise you that it really truly is the not so secret sauce. During my childhood Christianity days, I recall pastors saying something about going into the closet to pray in secret. And that's literally what I had to do to get better at meditation. I would sit in my closet and close the door. So if you need a special spot, a special object or music, whatever it is you need to get you there, it's okay. If ever there was an example where the means justified the ends, this is it. Meditation also leads to your other superpower, which is spiritual discernment. When you know what you sound like and you know what your spirit team sounds like, then it's easy to know when there's something there that doesn't belong. And that, sweet pea, that's key, because monitoring spirits, they thrive on staying under the radar. If you don't know yourself, I'm always telling you to know yourself. If you don't know yourself and your team, how will you spot the energy that's out of place? It's like trying to spot a fake Hermes bag when you've never owned a real one. So regular cleansings and protections, those are non-negotiable. I know I've done a video on this before, so I'm not going to elaborate here, but I am going to look at you sideways. If you are out here in these occult streets playing with magic without protecting yourself. Silly witch, magic is for grown-ups, and grown-ups know better than to skimp on their spiritual security system. The other thing is good old-fashioned subterfuge. Think of it as spiritual counterintelligence. So here's what you got to do. You got to tell a secret that seems juicy, but you don't care about. Okay? So maybe you've got a fake front tooth. Maybe you wear tighty-whities whenever you're going to give a public speaking presentation for extra support to bring you luck. Whatever it is, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But the important part is it has to be true. It has to be true, and it has to be something that you really, truly don't care if other people know. If it gets out, you're like, whatever, I don't care about that. You've already worked and unpacked that and dealt with it. And it needs to be something that seems like it would be a little bit embarrassing. So why do you need to make sure you have those three ingredients together when you're doing your subterfuge? Because both regular people, regular humans, muggles, and your monitoring spirits alike, they're gonna hold on to what they believe is a juicy piece of intel that they'll hold on to that, thinking you willingly divulged it. So they're thinking, okay, I've gained their trust, right? They've gained your trust. So they're going to hold on that. They're going to tuck it in their hat for later, and they're going to wait to use it against you. Now, if it's just a regular old dusty human, see if they throw that in your face during a heated disagreement. That is a classic, but usually predictable and effective move. And that's an indication of a relationship you probably gonna need to reevaluate, because you ain't got time for that anyway. Now, if it's a monitoring spirit, pay attention to how they use this information against you, okay? Do they twist it into a setback, or Do you have an opportunity that's blocked and where it seemed like it was a sure thing and then something happens and it just falls apart? Pay attention to how closely they are tied to that situation. Did they have any help? Right? Those answers are going to tell you two things. One, you're dealing with a monitor. Duh, congratulations. Two, how far you ascended spiritually. So use your hard-earned intel to plan where they might attempt to strike next. Then you're going to sit with that information and decide how you want to deal. Because now you're playing on a level field with the home team advantage. I don't know why I said that. I don't know sports. Anyway, all that being said, monitoring spirits don't always equate to malice. You got good ones too. It could be an ancestor who's there to keep an eye on you, or your own familiar that you're already aware of. So just keep your head on a swivel, know yourself, and as General Mattis said, be polite, be professional, but have a plan to take care of everyone you meet. Until next time, peace between us, and remember, do no harm, but take no shit.